Most of the time when people make the trek from Los Angeles to San Francisco, it means one of two things. They're either driving on a long road trip or heading to the airport. That's how I thought my journey was going to go until I came across this new concept of a hotel bus. The concept is you sleep in the bus just like a normal hotel, but then you wake up and you're in a new destination. It's about 10 p.m. on Sunday. I'm in downtown Santa Monica, and we should get on the sleeper bus around 11 p.m. and hopefully make it after a good night's sleep. First thing was finding the bus, which was super easy as it was parked on the main street right by the Santa Monica Pier. From the outside, the bus looked pretty similar to any other high-end coach, but it did have a nice, cool, clean design. Around 15 minutes before leaving, at about 10:45, I boarded the bus. It was super simple. They just scanned the barcode on my phone, and then as I entered, we met the bus attendant, who just shows you around your pod and tells you about the journey a little bit. Super friendly person. First impressions walking back to the end of the bus, where my pod was, I thought the design looked really cool, nice and clean, and looked like it was a good environment for sleeping. Just before we left, the bus attendant handed out these warm towels, which was a nice touch, and then we hit the road. To be completely honest, we're about 20 minutes in, and I obviously thought there would be some motion because you're obviously on a road. I kind of feel like I'm on a roller coaster. Turns out that we're actually just on the most windy part of the journey, which is the Grapevine, so it made sense why it was rocking so much. So a ticket from LA to San Francisco when I rode cost about $100, and all the cabins were the same price, even though there were quite a few variations in cabin type. The one I stayed in was a top bunk, and it did not have a window. But I looked around and I saw some of them did have a window, so selections first come, first serve on the booking site when you buy your ticket. So each cabin has 3 different light settings. You can do the night light if you just want a tiny bit of light to be able to see something. If you want to be able to read throughout the night, you can do a nice moderate lighting that will provide enough to read but not overbearing. And then if you want all out bright light, want to stay awake, you can hit the cabin light, which was really, really bright. Each pod also has an air vent. You don't control the temperature but the amount of air, and then a stop button in case there's an emergency. And you also get a really comfy pillow and a nice big duvet and slippers for if you're going to the bathroom. They also provide you with these gummies that are supposed to help you sleep, and then also they give you Wi-Fi, which I'll test in a little bit and see how good it is throughout the journey. And then also earplugs because the bus is really loud. Place to put your shoes, which also comes with 2 plugs, which is super handy if you want to charge your computer or anything. And then the bed is about 6 inches thick, but it was super comfortable. Really fast, if you guys can hit the thumbs up and the red subscribe button before we continue the tour, that would be really cool. After I set up my cabin, I headed to the bathroom to see what it was like and get ready for bed. It had a nice design, but obviously doesn't have any shower or anything, so you can't really freshen up if you're trying to take the bus and go to work the next morning in San Francisco. They provide toothbrushes and a few other things in case you forget them like I did. Before I went to bed, I tried out the Wi-Fi, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. It was pretty good, but I think it depends where you are since it's GPS based, so it could be bad different parts of the journey. So after about an hour on the bus, I decided I would try to sleep, so I felt fresh in San Francisco the next morning. So I took these little gummies that are supposed to make you fall asleep faster, and then I made the bed properly and I went to sleep. I woke up about 3 hours later because I noticed the bus was stopped and I assumed we were there, but then I saw it was only 3 o'clock. So I checked the maps and it turns out we were actually stopped at some rest stop, so I guess if you're ahead of time, the driver takes a break. And we actually had a few more hours to get there. So for the next few hours I tried to entertain myself. I tried to figure out how to close this thing properly. Then after that I decided to take a little wander around the bus, and I was snooping around and I looked and there was an open pod with this little note on it. So I investigated and I looked in and saw that it was actually one of the pods with some fancy technology, which I was wondering why, if someone wasn't using it, they wouldn't have put someone in there. So I decided I would try it out and give it a review. Apparently, since a lot of people complained about the rockety movement in previous editions of the bus, they came up with this technology that basically stabilizes the bed so you don't feel most of the movement. So I activated it. This was my attempt of recording the bed and its stabilization process. In person you can see the bed moving according to the bumps and keeping it stable, but it doesn't really show in the video. An open pod that has the new crazy cabin cloud technology, so it essentially does thousands of micro corrections and then pretty much acts like a stabilizer on a camera, so you don't feel barely any of the bumps. It's so noticeable. But I think we only have 4 of the cabins outfitted with the new system so far, and 1 happened to be open, so now I am in comfort. So it's so much better, except you have less room here in these bottom cabins. After trying out the technology and being very impressed, I headed back to my pod and then on another journey to see the driver. I learned that on top of the stabilized beds, they also have a technology the driver uses, which is a software that identifies where all the potholes are and anything that would make the journey more uncomfortable, such as turns, and they optimize the route for the best sleep quality, which is pretty awesome. It's about 4:55 a.m. and we're about 2 hours from the Bay Area, and we're already in bumper-to-bumper traffic. It's crazy. The Bay Area, definitely one of the worst traffic places in the world. So the bed is actually super comfortable. It's like a proper mattress, really comfy duvet. I'd say it's pretty comparable to like a 4-star hotel's bed. Obviously smaller, but totally enough space, super comfortable. I think all in all, the one downside is just how much it rocks. A straight road like the 5 is totally fine because it's only minimal amount of rocking, so it actually kind of helps you sleep. But anytime that you're going on like a windy road and you're prone to motion sickness, then it's not a good time. So around 6:30 a.m. we arrived in the Bay Area about 30 minutes before we were expected to arrive, and as we exited the bus there was a lady that was giving out coffees and was super happy and friendly. Other cool thing is they don't kick you off right when you arrive. If you want to sleep in till 9, they let you do that. Alright, I made it to San Francisco, and in typical San Francisco fashion, we got that cool fog going on. It's about 6:30 a.m. Head somewhere, and where else is there to head other than the Golden Gate Bridge and catch sunrise there? All in all, I think it was a really cool experience, and I'm really glad I did it. I don't know if I'd do it every time, as a plane ticket is cheaper or the same price and you get there a lot quicker, but if you think about it, the perk is if you are traveling during the night and you don't have to pay for a hotel room if you're going to pay one before, and you can definitely get some sleep on there. The beds are super comfortable, I have to give them that, but you definitely do feel the rocking motion. Next time I do it, I'd definitely make sure I get a cabin canceling technology one, and that could make a huge difference. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'd highly recommend trying it. I made it to the Golden Gate Bridge. There it is. It's kind of hard to see with the fog, but just kind of have to imagine it. You can kind of hear the cars going.